Hook Ross Flybox. Today we're going to tie the C2C nymph, or my version of the hare's ear, and what it's morphed into over the years. It began tying it out in the Pacific Northwest. It's followed me to the East Coast, which gave it its name. And let's go over how I tie it. This is one of the countless versions of the hare's ear nymph. All of them are very productive, which is in respect to the original hare's ear performance. We're going to start out with a caddis emerger hook. I like a curved hook for this version of the pattern, and a gold tungsten bead. And we're going to start off by giving about 5 wraps of 0.015 red substitute wire. We're going to seat that good. Behind the bead, and then we're going to start our black thread. I use black tying thread for this pattern. Build a dam, and wrap down well. Got a little bit of a tag end on that lead, no problem, just bind it down. It's going to be under dubbing. And then bring your thread back to about 1/3 of the way into the bend. You're going to want your tail on this version to wrap into the bend slightly. You want it to curve with the hook. And the first material we're going to tie in after that is a sizable chunk, probably 6 or 8 strands of pheasant tail fiber for the tail. We're going to shorten our tail a little bit smaller than normal, or what you would expect for this nymph. Tie it in. I like to tie it in towards the bead and then wrap back until it gets that curvature. That's what I want right there. And we're going to bring that underbody up to fill that gap in the, give that transition a little bit smoother transition to the lead. Next we're going to tie in fine gold wire. This is small uni wire. I'm going to tie that in as well, right behind the lead. We're going to wrap back to the point of the tail. The next material we're going to use is ginger rabbit dubbing. This is number 43 in hairline. I use ginger aside from natural hare's mask because I like the color when wet. When wet, this pattern this dubbing looks like a medium to dark charcoal. It causes the ribbing to pop very nicely. And I went with it years ago, and I've stayed with ginger for almost all my hare's ear patterns for that reason. And then we're going to bring our dubbing back. You're going to dub a fairly slender body in comparison to a normal hare's ear. You're not going for the super spiky. You're going to bring this dubbed body up, the abdomen up to about the 60 or 70% point. Leave a slightly larger thorax than normal. And then we're going to wrap our gold wire forward. Sliding on me a little bit there. Just wrap it evenly, bring it up into the thorax area and tie it off. And the next material you're going to tie in is wild turkey tail. I use the black of the tips up top here. I'll take about 1/8 of an inch. Doesn't have to be overly large. I tie it in with the butt section. Wrap back into it, back into that dubbing. If you don't wrap back into that thorax dubbing a little bit, you'll leave a gap when you pull your wing case forward. And your thorax again is going to be ginger dubbing. The entire fly is ginger. It's a very basic pattern. Aside from a few different steps, there's really no difference from any standard stage nymph that you've tied. And you're going to dub your thorax, wrap into there fairly tight. And a little bit more. And with this curved hook, I like to reposition a little bit so I get the wing case better. And the next step, you're going to pull that wing case forward. Keep it fairly tight, and when you tie it in, pull it a little bit towards you so it doesn't slide around the hook. It stays right on top where you want it. And clip the butt. Get that a little bit neater before we tie it off. And then whip finish. You're not done yet though. And then the last step for this fly is UV dub. You're going to UV this wing case. Put a sizable drop on there. Let it settle just a little bit to level off. And then you're going to hit it with your light. You want that to get good and hard. I like to use the non-tacky. If you do have tacky, a low tack or slightly tacky UV epoxy when dry, just hit it with a little swipe of Sally Henson's and that'll harden it up. Keep that shine. And we'll reposition that to get a better look. And there you have it. The C2C, or coast to coast as I refer to it as. It's my version of the hare's ear. It's one of my most productive patterns in my box for years. Began tying it in this method probably 25 years ago. Hope this adds to your box. Good luck. See you on the water.